What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, continuing with the best 7-round mock draft series you're going to find here on the YouTubes. And we're continuing with the Super Bowl runner-up, the Atlanta Falcons. Not a lot of holes on this team, but I'm going to say right now, very strong draft in my honest opinion. And, that's exactly what they need to try to get back and get over that hump and maybe learn to run the ball in the playoffs. Who knows? So today we're going to look at the free agency grades of the 2016 draft to see how they did, and then we'll give our own attempt at a full 7-round mock draft for the Falcons. The Falcons last year were 11-5, had the second-ranked offense and the 25th-ranked defense. Their MVP was the MVP, Matthew Ryan. I was on the Matthew Ryan bandwagon a little bit later than some, but got on earlier than most. I think a lot of people were really going down to, like, oh, it's Tom Brady. Oh, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Quickly, once Derek Carr went down with injury, went to Matt Ryan. And he balled out last year. And hopefully for Falcon fans, he can repeat that same success next season and, get themselves way back into the playoffs. So the needs for me before free agency started, I had his defensive end, offensive guard, defensive tackle, and cornerback. In free agency, they re-signed Matt Schaub to a 2-year, $9 million deal. I gave that a D. Obviously, I get the move. He's never going to be a starter. He's a backup. But, man, what the hell? Backup quarterbacks getting paid? As an Eagle fan, I'm sick and tired of seeing Chase Daniel and Nick Foles getting paid big money, and Matt Schaub is not worth $9 million. They re-signed released Tyson Jackson, and freed up $2.5 million. Give it a B. He was just a rotational guy. They re-signed Levine Tololo to a 3-year, $12 million deal. D+. Austin Hooper is clearly going to be the future there at the tight end position. I think, if you're trying to allocate money, maybe Jacob Tamme would have been a better re-sign. He seemed like a better player than Tololo, but what the fuck do I know? They re-signed Kamal Ishmael to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. It's a C. He's a depth signing at safety, but I've heard rumors he may be switching to linebacker, so he is pretty versatile there. And then they brought in Dontari Poe in a 1-year, $8 million deal. I'll give that a B-. Poe is on the down, certainly. Didn't have that great of a season last year with the Kansas City Chiefs, but a change of scenery. Now he's going to go into a 4-3 scheme. Maybe that's what he needs. Very athletic, even though he has been a nose tackle. He's a super athletic nose tackle, was a combine warrior. I think that's a good fit there. Nice addition to the team for the Atlanta Falcons. So looking at how they did in the draft last year, I really did like their draft class. In the first round pick, 17, they got Keanu Neal. A lot of people thought that was a reach. I thought personally it was just a reach at 17. I thought if Keanu Neal was their guy, maybe they could have traded out of that pick and got him at maybe the bottom half of the first round. But we all saw what Keanu Neal did. He was an absolute monster for them last year. And then the second round, they got Deion Jones, who was an equal monster for them. Deion Jones, a guy who I was really surprised after he ran that 4.38. Like, why are people talking about him as a first-round linebacker? Slipped to the second round, had 108 tackles, 11 pass deflections, 3 picks, 2 touchdowns. This guy here certainly should have been, and was, up in the consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. In the third round, they got Austin Hooper, the tight end, who I think is now going to take over as their starter. So there's 3 immediate starters in the first 3 rounds for the Atlanta Falcons. In the fourth round, they got Devondre Campbell, outside linebacker from Minnesota. He's seen some action. You got Wes Switzer in the 6th round, the guard from San Jose State. Depth. Devin Fuller, wide receiver from UCLA. That wasn't a bad pick. That was worth the gamble as, he got put on IR. But I think there's some upside there to add some depth and competition near the bottom side of the wide receiver chart. So, not a bad draft. Actually, a very good draft considering the first 3 rounds are guys that are going to be probably pretty influential characters for the Atlanta Falcons here in the coming year. So, let's see if we can have nearly the same success with our own 7-round mock draft as my phone's going right the fuck off. So in the first round, pick 31, I've been going with Forrest Lamp, the offensive guards from Western Kentucky, 6'4", 310 pounds, ran a 5-second flat 40-yard dash, 34 reps on the bench press, as well as posting a very good 3-cone drill. Played left tackle, played right tackle, pretty much played everywhere for Western Kentucky. A lot of people, myself included, think because of his lack of length, he's going to transition well to a very high-level guard. And looking at the Atlanta Falcons, I think the right guard spot with Chris Chester announcing his retirement is an immediate upgrade right there. And Forrest Lamp, pencil him in right now as a day 1 starter. This pick here makes as much sense as maybe really Ryan Kelly going to the Colts last season. I think Forrest Lamp will be available at the 31. I think he's going to be in that tail end of the first round, early second round type pick because of his versatility that he brings to the offensive line. NFL comparison on NFL.com, Zach Martin, the very talented guard from the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he's as good as Zach Martin. Zach Martin was an all-pro as a rookie, but I could certainly see Forrest Lamp making, getting some honors as a rookie, being a valuable part of that Atlanta Falcons offensive line. This pick here, to me, seems like an absolute no-brainer. Plug a hole, best player available. Either or, Forrest Lamp fits that mold. Jump to the second round, pick 63. maybe a bit of a reach. I mean, bit of a drop. I don't know if he's going to necessarily be there still at 63. It's how my draft board played out. He kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I have it being T.J. Watt, the outside linebacker from Wisconsin, 6'4", 250 pounds, running 4.69 40, 21 reps on the bench press. Tested out the park for pretty much everything else in vertical, broad, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, and 60-yard shuttle. NFL Pro Comparisons, Paul Kruger, who's spent some time in the league on the Cleveland Browns most notably. But I think you get a good, well-rounded player in T.J. Watt as an outside-inside linebacker, defensive end. I mean, I guess he could come in and maybe compete with a Brooks Reed. He's kind of similar in that mold, but I see a guy that's not terrible dropping back into coverage. So you may want to see him playing outside linebacker. I know they want to get athletic there, but, I mean, Devondre Campbell, I think T.J. Watt could come in. Not the same type of player. Obviously, Campbell's a little bit smaller. But I really think the athletic ability that T.J. Watt has, the fact that he's at 252 pounds, he's very versatile. He's an absolute weapon that Dan Quinn can totally use and utilize on that defensive line. And there's an outside linebacker, edge rusher, either or. He's a jack of all trades. Like I said, I don't know if he'll necessarily... I think he will slip to the second round. But, I mean, obviously the Falcons will be picking at the tail end of that second round. It was just really how my board played out. I think he's probably more so... the first half, the front half of the second round, but depending on how the board goes and what real positions teams need to address, if they're not going best player available, I could see a slide here for T.J. Watt, who has a lot of upside, and it would be another phenomenal second round linebacker pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Jumping to the third round pick, 95. I've been going with Tyus Bowser, the linebacker from Houston, another guy, 6'3", 247 pounds, running 4.65 40, 21 reps on the bench press. Again, jumped out the park with a good vertical, broad, and 3-cone drill. NFL comparisons, Eli Harold. I think another guy just continuing to develop on the linebacking core. Best player available. Get rotation there. Get after the quarterback. Last year, the biggest thing was getting pressure on the quarterback. They still kind of struggled. Outside of Vic Beasley, I mean, they 25th ranked defense. You need to get more pressure. And Bowser is just the best player available on looking at the pure basis that Atlanta needs to get more pressure on the quarterback. Tyus Bowser can come in instantly as a rotational outside linebacker. He is a through pass rusher. Again, another guy. I personally might see T.J. Watt as a defense developing into maybe a defensive end, looking him to play with or along and compete with Brooks Reed. Because, I mean, Brooks Reed, what is that? He's only 10 pounds heavier than T.J. Watt, and he's a starting defensive end there. So I think T.J. Watt may transition slowly towards that. Even Bowser, man, he's almost 250 pounds. I mean, both these guys are young, slim, athletic defensive edge rushers I can probably play outside linebacker and defensive end, depending on what kind of hybrid scheme you want. I mean, Vic Beasley's pretty goddamn fluid, as the Sam plays a little bit of defensive end. So I think, again, just going all in here. Look at the Falcons. Not a lot of holes on this team, but you still have to say on the defensive side of the ball, either go best player available in their secondary, but I mean, their secondary would have been better if Desmond Trufant was healthy on the field. Now that he's back, Trufant, Jalen Collins, Brian Poole to go along with Robert Alford. That's that's pretty goddamn good secondary. You got Keanu Neal, a B safety, Ricardo Allen's. I thought didn't he get re-signed some decent money? I could be wrong here, but safety maybe. But outside of that, edge rush is the biggest thing, and I think Bowser and T.J. Watt would certainly go a long way to helping that Falcons have an elite edge rush in the NFL. Jumping to the 4th round pick, 136. Speaking on that safety spot, I have to go with the highest safety available, and that's John Johnson, the safety from Boston College, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, 4'6", 140, 14 reps on the bench press, 37-inch vertical. Pro comparisons, Aaron Williams, who's been a fairly successful safety for the Buffalo Bills. Again, I think you need to add some strong safety depth and some competition for Ricardo Allen. Clearly, you have Keanu Neal is going to be your starting free safety. Kamal Ishmael, I've heard rumors that he may be a depth linebacker safety hybrid type. Not exactly sure what the plan is for him solidified, but John Johnson is a very solid safety that has, great ball skills, able to drop back into coverage. Solid tackler, not an amazing tackler, but like I said, more suited to that strong safety. Well, you want Keanu Neal to be you're in the box. I'm just going to massacre motherfuckers. So I think a guy like John Johnson could come in and compete for the backup depth. Right now it's Sherrod Niesman is the backup to Ricardo Allen at the strong safety spot. I think a guy like John Johnson certainly can push that and probably solidify himself as the backup strong safety on the Falcons next season. Jumping to the 5th round pick, 174. Thinking a little bit in the future, I've been going with James Conner, the running back from Pitt, 6'1", 235 pounds, 465, 40, 20 reps on the bench press. NFL Pro comparison was TJ Duckett, but I mean, with what you get with a James Conner is a big monster battering ram type player. Not really what they have in their backfield right now. They have two finesse players in Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, but I mean, obviously the lack of speed may be something that jumps off the page, but he's uber productive at Pittsburgh and he has underrated catching ability. So he can do everything that, you know, Atlanta really wants their running backs to be able to do in the scheme. But more so, I think it's only a matter of time till Tevin Coleman or Devontae Freeman, they're going to lose one of them. Freeman, I think, is going to be a free agent next season. Coleman the year after that. Like, they're only going to be able to pay one of them. Put it this way, as a Falcon fan, you're not going to have Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman forever. So you need to look at the next line of running backs, because that's clearly what you guys are committed to doing, is having two talented running backs. I just don't think that with how good their team is, they're not going to have enough cap room, even if they want to try to keep Tevin Coleman and Freeman. And even if Tevin Coleman and Freeman want to both stay in Atlanta, I just don't see the cap room being there. So go in a running back heavy draft class, get something that's a yin to a yang. Whoever you keep in Freeman or Coleman, James Conner is going to be, you know, that Michael Turner type playmaker for them back there. That's going to be able to move the chains, come in, and you know, maybe give them a little bit of reserve role and vulture some red zone touchdowns. But I think James Conner, incredibly high character guy as well, could come in. And, you know, worst case scenario, he probably could be that third running back over Taron Ward and compete for some, you know, obviously maybe red zone short yardage work. But I think, like I said, prepare for the future here and look at getting someone that can potentially take over for either Freeman or Coleman, whichever one decides to leave to free agency and cash out. And finishing up in the 7th round, pick 249, going back to where I thought they paid Matt Schaub audacious money for a backup role. Let's go draft a quarterback, and I'm getting Brady Gustafson, the quarterback from Montana. A lot of people are saying, is he the next Carson Wentz? I don't think he's as talented as Carson Wentz, but the upside is there. He's 6'7", 235 pounds, had 25 touchdowns and 8 picks last year at Montana. Just a big-bodied, big-arm quarterback. That's a project-type player, but going to that scheme, you got Steve Sarkisian, who, I mean, we have to wait and see how he transitions to the pro level. But yeah, I think there is some upside at the offensive coordinator position. It would have been better to have Kyle Shanahan there, because he is kind of a QB guru, depending on who you ask. I think getting a project player like Gustafson is there. But I think more so looking at getting a quarterback that can be Matt Ryan's backup, that's not going to cost you an iron leg. For a team that's as strong and has as much depth, as young depth, as Atlanta, you need to cut some corners and cut some cap at some spot. I think, you know, getting rid of a cash cow like Matt Schaub as your backup and getting a young project quarterback that can certainly fill a backup role behind Matt Ryan for the considerable future, that is the way to go. And I think getting a guy like Gustafson, who's, you know, definitely worth a flyer in the 7th round, because even just because of the frame and the arm talent, I think the technique and everything else in the really, you know, keeping his footwork down, his pocket presses, that'll come with time and experience. So hopefully, maybe Steve Sarkisian will see him as a project type player that he really wants to work with, and maybe dump off Matt Schaub's cap next season. I don't know. I just think getting a backup quarterback, a young backup quarterback to play behind Matt Ryan would be the most beneficial here for the Atlanta Falcons. So there you go, guys. That is my full 7-round mock draft for the Atlanta Falcons. As always, if you agree or disagree with any of the picks, let me know in the comment section below. 100 likes on this video, and we will finish up the series this weekend with the... Actually, we won't finish up because I forgot that even though we'll be doing the Patriots next, which is maybe a little bit salty for you Falcon fans, we still have to do the Rams and Vikings who don't have first-round picks. But yeah, we'll do the Patriots draft with 100 likes on this video. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to subscribe. I don't know if I said that already, but thank you all for watching, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.